see. Oh my goodness. All right. Good morning/afternoon. Welcome to Chiropractic is Sexy. I'm Dr. Paula Ruffin.
And I am Dr. Erica Peabody. And I do have to say that today is a very exciting day. If you know, you know. We don't have to go there politically, but if you know, you know. Actually, to make our country
Is
healthy
exciting.
again.
Oh, we're so excited.
It is really exciting.
It's been interesting just to hear the arguments against being healthy. It's just so maddening.
It's
isn't
an
it?
argument. It's so crazy. It's crazy. I was
Yeah.
like, have we lost our minds or what exactly is going on? So.
Well, I mean, again, I think the overarching message is informed consent. That's all anybody's asking for is if you actually knew what was happening, you might make different and better choices for yourself. However, when things are being hidden from you, when critical information is being hidden from you deliberately for profits, that's a problem. And I don't understand why there's arguments against that.
Exactly.
And if you still choose to eat McDonald's and drink Coke and then that's fine. But everyone should have the opportunity to know what that does to them, right?
And it really goes right along. Oh, we have somebody here already.
Oh, hey, Happy Mac. He says he'd like to be adjusted every day.
I know, me too. I got adjusted on Tuesday with Dr. Paula, and then I got adjusted yesterday too, which I'm super grateful for. Fortunately, I have two other chiropractors that come in regularly that live in the area. And so anyway, one of them was in yesterday. And every time I see one of my chiropractors on my schedule, I am through the roof excited. So I was very excited about that. But that, everything that's happening right now with health in our country goes right along the lines that we're speaking about here, which is basically we need the information, we need to have clean products available, and we need to be able to make our own medical choices and have our own medical autonomy. That's it. Right. We're not saying do anything because people ask me all the time. Every single week I get a question about health. And it's like
every single day.
Yes, but like deeper medical health questions, like, should I be taking this medication? Should I be going to get blah, blah, blah? What do you think about my child getting vaccinated? What do you do about birth? Like those big questions. And I'm like, you just have to be informed. That is all. I will not answer those questions for you, what you should and shouldn't do with your body, but we should just be informed. And that's why I'm so grateful to come here every week and be able to share that. So
it's so important. And it's interesting also to see the light bulbs in our patients so clearly our patients, they do some level of homework. They're somewhat concerned or informed, but they don't necessarily have all the information. And then when they ask us for more clarification on things and we provide it with them, it's really amazing to see the light bulbs go off and to see the anger that occurs with people when they're like, wait, what? Mm-hmm. How come my medical doctor didn't tell me this? How come the food industry, whatever it is, like fill in the blank, people they're going to probably be even more upset as some of this stuff comes out. And of course, we can just talk about the red food dye, and then we'll get into why we're talking about frequency of chiropractic. But I do think because of this vote today, it definitely warrants a brief discussion. But even just with the food dye, that the other countries color their foods with natural colorings, and we don't. And also what I think is really criminal is that the food companies have also been given until 2027 to get red food dye out of their food. They're already doing it in Europe. They've been doing it for years. So why are we giving them another 2 years to get the crap out of their foods? That's what I don't understand is you have the formula. You don't have to reinvent any formula. You know what it is. So, what are you going to do in the meantime? So that's kind of what makes me upset is that, and then people can vote with their pocketbooks. People can say, I'm not buying XYZ products until they get these things out of their foods. And again, just looking at red food dye, it was removed from makeup because it was deemed cancerous and too dangerous to put on our skin. So why was it allowed to still be in food? It just makes no sense. And so it's that kind of things that if we bring that kind of information forward and get people to go, oh, I never thought of it like that. And then the wheels start to churn and you can start making better decisions for yourself.
So true. So it's so interesting. So I've had this woman in the practice. She's been in the practice for 3 weeks now. She's a case manager at a hospital. So she's a nurse and she's finishing up her 3rd week of care. I see her twice a week because I'm only in the office 3 times a week. So I would love to see everybody 3 times a week, but because of my limited schedule, that's usually how I start them. And just thinking about frequency of care, we're finishing up and she feels amazing. Amazing now. She could barely walk in here. And so that's only 6 visits. So I was also listening to a podcast that was giving the actual scientific rundown of healing and chiropractic care. They said 30 to 40 visits over 14 weeks. That is the magic ticket. So I'm not going to get to 14 weeks and 30 to 40 visits with her. But if we're recommending anything less than 30 to 40 visits over 14 weeks, we're slowing down the progression of true care and how chiropractic is supposed to go together. And so I said, all right, awesome. So we've seen you twice a week for the last 3 weeks. We're going to keep that twice a week going. And I want you to make sure you're getting up from your, she does a lot of charting. She does a lot of like case management, has a lot of forward technology. And anyway, it's so awesome to have somebody progress like that. Cause I usually see amazing results within the first by 6 weeks. And that's probably where you are too. But then you had the question the other day, that guy called and it was like, well, can I come in quarterly for one adjustment? So go ahead and share, just as we're talking about frequency and how health is interrelated. But one of the things, it's the eat well, move well, think well, drink your water, get your rest, get adjusted, that this case manager is also doing that is helping her progress so quickly. So just wanted to kind of start with frequency that way and then shift it back over to your story that you shared with me the other day.
Yeah. And the story that I shared with you was the impetus for today's conversation. So I had a patient looking for a person, because he's not a patient yet, and he was looking for care. He was shopping around price, and that's fine. Some people will do that, but and I'll have a comment about why he was shopping around price and what I think about that. But he was shopping around price, and he said, I'm a runner, a long distance runner. And he said, and I like to go for my quarterly adjustments. And I said, well, when was the last time you were adjusted? And he said, about 3 months ago. And I said, oh, okay, so you're ready for your quarterly adjustment. I may have sounded a little bit like a smartass when I said that, but I was trying not to be. But anyway, and of course, I always have to ask as well, why aren't you going back to your other chiropractor? Because there are people who do this like chiropractic jumping thing because they don't want to hear, they want to manage their own frequency and care. And they don't get results because they want to do it their way and they don't want to do it the doctor's way. So there's that. So, if we just say in that place, if you're a chiropractic jumper, you're like, I didn't like this person. And I see that a lot on the social feeds where they'll say, I need a chiropractor, somebody who's not going to put me on a program. I don't know what else you expect us to do if you have health goals that you want to get past. Right. So we have programs for a reason. And so Dr. Eric and I started talking about this, once a quarter. Is it better than nothing? Is it? I don't know. Like, that's why we're having the conversation. And where did he get the idea that once a quarter was good for him as a high level athlete? And so I said, I said, well, so at 4 times a year, this is what your total would be in this office, which was pretty nominal for a year of chiropractic care for 4 adjustments. And so I was like, and again, I don't think I sounded like a smartass, but I was trying not to. But anyway, so again, it goes to, okay, he's shopping around price and he's only coming in 4 times a year. So that also was like a major disconnect. I'm like, if you needed 40 to 60 visits for whatever you just said, over, 4 to 6 months, then I clearly understand that you would be calling and saying, cost is going to be an issue. So I need to figure out what I can make work.
Mm-hmm.
If you are coming 4 times a year, I would imagine you would just be looking for the most skilled chiropractor you can find.
For
That
sure.
it wouldn't necessarily matter if it's 60 or 100, that
Mm-hmm.
it would be, let me find the best chiropractor, because if I'm only going 4 times a year, I need to make sure that I get the best adjustment I possibly can, that I
Well,
can hold that. So
I was thinking with him, and I don't, you don't know him yet, and we don't know him yet, but if he's a high level, long distance athlete, more than likely he's really probably fine tuned his diet, is hopefully prioritizing. We don't know this, but let's just say in his ideal world, he's hydrated, he stretches, he is eating well, he's getting the proper rest, like he's doing all of that stuff. He may need like a maintenance kind of, just help me along the way because I'm doing all of this other great stuff. It still is every 3 weeks, because that fixations start to build scar tissue at 3 weeks.
months. Oh,
However, I did go on a mission trip to Peru, and I can't remember. It was like probably 2014 or 15. And these people got one adjustment a year, because the same group would go down and do adjustments for a week. And actually, while we were there, we would maybe see a couple of people a couple times in that 1 week. And they may only get one adjustment for their entire life. Now, my strong beliefs in the power of the adjustment is one is better than none at all. One adjustment quarterly for this guy is better than nothing at all. Our recommendations, and one of the reasons probably he reached out to you, is because you are also a healthy athlete. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's really awesome that you could maybe even meet him there. You'd be able to say, hey, you know what if you even came once a month? That would
he
put
was
you
actually
in a
just
better
calling
place.
around the
Yeah.
chiropractors in the area, because he
Yeah.
just moved there, and he
Yep.
was just calling. He specifically said, "I'm just calling all the chiropractors in the area to shop
Yeah.
price." Just
Yeah.
said it straight out. He
Yeah.
was not looking. He was so. And I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
No, that's
I
okay.
get it. When we think high level athlete, we think that they have checked all those boxes,
Right.
but I'm gonna say probably not,
Yeah.
because again, you're not looking for the best chiropractor, you're looking for the best price for a very minimal amount of care. And
Mhm.
I like Happy Mac's comment about beating your body and only coming 4 times a year. I think there's that balance too.
Right.
And again, I just wonder, and I'm with you. It's better than zero. At
Mhm.
least he's going to a chiropractor. But also, I think there's a huge difference between a third world country that can't get chiropractic care
Right.
and here, where it's available on every corner.
Yeah, so
So
I'm just thinking if he could get into your office, because you are an athlete, you could meet him at that place, and then he would start to like be open to the expertise of like, hey, actually every 2 to 3 weeks is like an awesome way, not quarterly. I just had a guy drive into the area yesterday from Toledo, and I've known him on social media for a long time. And he's like, I have got to get adjusted. And I know he'll be back in the area. He's a realtor, but he's like a kind of more regional. And I know he's back in the area regularly. So it's like, yeah, I'm going to take you. I can't put you on a plan because you're an hour and a half from here is where you drove up from. I know he'll be back in the area. It's like, I also have to and he's also a high level athlete. And I'm like, he also just needs to be able to just bop right in. So, but yeah, if people are looking to actually get to goals, then it was the 20 to 30 over 14 weeks, which is when I finally heard that, was like, that makes so much sense.
yeah.
And in our day-to-day practices that we see, for any of you listening out there, it's like that really is the magic ticket. If you've never had care before, to start to do like 14 weeks is what, 2 or 3.5 months. So roughly 4 months, 30 adjustments. That is so ideal. If people could stick with that, your entire life and existence would completely change. So,
Well, and also thinking about what does he look at chiropractic for? How
right.
does he see chiropractic fitting into his life? Because, and again, this is why we have these conversations. We're really trying to get the message that chiropractic care is going to enhance your nervous system, the information superhighway. It's going to provide more clarity to your body's ability to heal and balance and just perceive and receive, perceive life and give life and be in those relationships. And so I think that my guess would be, and again, it's a lot of speculation, but I would guess that he is probably in it. He's never really been taught how powerful the nervous system is, and that when you are athletic, and you know what, you don't even have to be a high level athlete. You could just be be like you and me. We're entrepreneurs. We exercise. We value health. We value wellness. We're not high level. I mean, we're not. When I say high level athlete, I think of like competition.
Right.
But we're certainly entrenched in our physical health. And so when we're looking at those kinds of things, it's like when you get adjusted regularly, not every 3 months, your hand-eye coordination improves, your ability to think clearly, your ability to sleep, your ability to digest your food and absorb your nutrients and just move freely and be productive and creative. And there's all of that happens. So my guess is somebody's probably told him once a quarter is plenty. Don't let any chiropractor talk you into anything more until he comes into my office or your office, right?
Well, it really is. So chiropractic isn't for everybody.
Uh-oh, I lost her.
However, those that really know what I mean, like it's like
hold on, back
can
up
really
your thought because you froze for a second. You said
sorry.
Chiropractic isn't for everybody.
Isn't for everybody, but it's once you know what it's really all about, the only reason why it isn't for everybody is because you just don't know what you don't know. You know what I mean? And so people say, well, once you get started, you have to go all the time. Well, I can tell you, once you get started, you will finally know what your body's supposed to feel like. You'll finally know what it feels like to adjust and adapt and be able to assimilate your days so that you can get through the days easier. I have a patient that's been under care for almost the full 20 years I've been in practice. He comes twice a week. He still is. He is up to like 16 or 1,700 visits at this point. I could look it up if we wanted to. But anyway, I know.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like, I wish I could go to me
Right.
twice a week. That would be amazing.
I've said that too. Yeah. I wish I could go to
me twice a week for 20 years. We would be in an astounding shape. And it's not that I can't go to another chiropractor. I do have specific wants and desires inside of the chiropractic care that I get. And Dr. Paula and I are 40 minutes away from each other. So we don't get to get in with each other all the time. But yeah, I would love to have that because I just know that my body, like I think I'm traveling this weekend and I'm going to be with chiropractors and I'm going to get it checked and adjusted a couple times a day when I'm there. So one time I was in chiropractic college and living with my uncle who's a chiropractor. And I happened to wake up with a migraine headache at 2 a.m. He happened to be wandering through the house at 2 a.m. And I said, Uncle Rich, and I was about to go, start vomiting. And I said, I feel terrible. Is there any way you would adjust me? And he said, of course. So at 2 a.m., because we were living with him at the time, he just sat me on the kitchen table. And then again at 7 a.m., again at 9 when I started the shift with him, again at noon when I was finishing that morning shift, and then again at 3 when I started the afternoon with him. 5 times was the max I got adjusted in one day. But here's the thing. I knew something was annihilating my body chemistry wise or physically or something. And it doesn't mean that I went every single time to get rid of the headache, but it was like, my body is so compromised right now. And I don't know what it is, but I bet an adjustment would help. And fortunately I was living with him and he was able to just do that for me. Thank goodness. I would love to have married a chiropractor and lived with a chiropractor. That would be amazing. But it was astounding because people say, well, can you get adjusted too much? If I would have gotten adjusted 5 times every single day of my life, yeah, that's too much. But a couple times a week for 20 years, that would be amazing. Once a week for 20 years, which I've been doing myself, depending on whom I'm around at any given time. It's a powerful way to press Control-Alt-Delete on the body and do a hard reset so it can reboot. It's amazing.
That's a great story. And we see it in our practices too, where we have patients who we put people on consistent schedules.
Mhm.
And I always tell my patients, I'm like, we're going to find the schedule that you feel best at.
Mhm.
And so I have people who come once a week, twice a week, once every 2 weeks, or it's kind of all over the map. I think the most I have is I have one guy that comes like every 2 months, and he knows he should be coming more because he plays a lot of pickleball, and he's like, I don't want to say middle aged. That makes him sound old because that would make me middle aged, which would make me sound old. But anyway, so he's about my age. But anyway, but the whole point is that it's you get on your consistent schedule, and then it ebbs and flows based on your stress and your lifestyle. And we think about chiropractic as like you've got physical, chemical, emotional stressors in life every single day, 24/7. And your chiropractic adjustments, in order to keep your nervous system balanced and healthy and functioning the way we want it, is that your adjustments should be able to meet or exceed all that stress.
Mhm.
But what happens, and in my opinion, if you're coming once or 4 times a year, is you've got all of this. So you're having 3 months for all of that stuff to build up. And then we're going to give you an adjustment. And
Mhm.
then you have 3 more months for everything to build up. And then we're going to give you an adjustment. We're never going to meet or exceed the body's stressed out exposure on a daily basis when we don't find that sweet spot for you. And I have a patient who came in. She was one of the ones that was supposed to come in this morning, but I brought her in on Tuesday for the snowstorm. And she was coming every 4 to 6 weeks. She's like in her mid 50s and literally has a completely reverse curve in her neck, cannot laterally bend her neck. When I say go like this, she goes like this. And I'm
Mhm.
like, what? Like she has no motion and she doesn't know it. She's like, well, it feels stiff. And I'm like, it's locked because the spine is locked because there's so much scar tissue in there. So when
Mhm.
she came in on Tuesday and I adjusted her and she said, we were trying to set her next schedule. She's been coming in like every 3 weeks. And I said, so I've gotten her from 6 to 4 to 3. And then she said, she gave me the date and I go, are you sure you want to go out 3 weeks? I go, I really think two. And before I could even finish, she's like, no, you're right. 2 weeks. Let's
Yeah.
do 2 weeks. And so you have to be able to have those conversations with people and let them know, like, you're getting the benefit. And if we wait even longer, it's just things are going to go further
Mhm.
sideways.
Mhm.
So we want to be able to try to keep up your nervous system's ability to help you handle life.
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, I mean, we just see these stories every day in and day out for all these years, and it's what I do in my practice. So I'll set people up initially for care for a plan, a corrective phase, so to speak, if you want to call it that, and then they inevitably go through that care plan and then fail off the schedule, and then we let them um, be able to sorry, I'm looking, there's some strange things going on in my parking lot. So then we make it a safe place for people to land back in care. Yes, you're more than welcome to come
Always.
in. And if they fail again, we just allow it to be a safe place to land back in care. And usually it's about the third time they get totally committed for life.
Yeah.
And they say, I don't even know what I was doing to let things slip. And, on our side too, like all we have to do is keep people on the schedule and then they get their reminders and they come in and they get their reminders and they come in and they just do this really beautiful dance that helps them up level their life and optimize their days. But also sometimes it's like, yeah, this is what we really feel. We made so much progress. Like, where have you been?
Right.
Why did you do that to your body?
And then we have to start over.
It's not
Oh, yeah.
that
And then they
expensive.
go, I know. Like they
It's
know
not
it's
that
just
expensive. It's not, we make it convenient and affordable to continue regular care with us. And
yeah.
we do that so that you just keep this flow going. And It's necessary, and you can fail out of care again and come back. And when you do, just realize if you can stay ahead of the 2 week or at least the 3 week, right at 3 weeks, that's when scar tissue starts to build inside of fixations, inside of the spine and nervous system. And just stay ahead of that. You're going to stay ahead of life. You are.
That's
So,
a great point. And I love that we do have data that backs that up.
Yeah.
Period. I do want to address Laura's comment too about that's great that you've been going, and there's a reason. If somebody needs to go twice a week for a year, there's probably some pretty deep-seated stuff that needs to get handled. And then just as far as when you say he hurt your neck twice. So Dr. Erica and I are of the full belief that these are conversations you need to have with your chiropractor, because I've had patients come in and they're like, can you do something different? I was really sore, or I got a headache after that last adjustment, which can be very normal when we start to release things out of the nervous system. And so we have a lot of tools in our toolbox. And so in addition to the frequency, we're going to use different techniques as well that's going to enhance your care. So I would make sure you have a conversation about that, because I also don't know what you mean when you say he hurt your neck twice. That's a whole different ball of wax. Like, were you just stiff or sore? That's to be, that's normal, but make sure you're having that conversation. And are there different ways to adjust you that you'd feel more comfortable and that you'd still get the benefit out of? So just want to encourage you to make sure you keep those lines of communication open.
And I would say that if you don't feel like you can communicate, then it might be that you need to change up. I always say that, chiropractic offices can be like pizza places. Like if you love pizza and you had a bad pizza experience, you wouldn't stop eating pizza. You would pick a different pizza place. Now, I do love pizza. I need to have a gluten-free pizza. I would eat it every day if I could, but that's not healthy. But anyway, you guys get what I'm saying. And Laura, the other part is when we have patients come to us as healthcare providers and they say, you know what, that, they give a little bit of feedback about if you're sore after a couple of hours, that's fine. If it lasts for days, that's a different story. And I never want to call it normal, but we do want to call it common. So not normal, but common to have discomfort when you first get started. But the body needs to, what chiropractors do is your range of motion for yourself is 0 to 80%. We work in what's called the paraphysiological space, which is 80 to 90%. So we're in the 80 to 90% where you can't access yourself. And so your body's like, whoa, what was that? Whoa, and it will put up some red alarms. But the things to do, go stretch, get your water, but when you bring a concern to us, I always say to my patients, I'm so honored that you would freely speak to me about something like that, because I would rather know what's going on than not know and have you quit care or have you move down the street or something else. Like I would rather, and I'm so honored that people would take a conversation and bring it to me and let me know, because there are some things we don't want to know, like Wednesday, my right did this, and then Thursday it did that, and that was 2 weeks ago. And then wait, let me look back at my notes. Like we don't need to know that. But if there's real concerns, bring your concerns to the adjustment, because we're happy to field those concerns, switch it up. We have a lot of tools in our toolbox to be able to use, figuratively speaking, and sometimes literally there are other tools to use. But a lot of times it can be things like dehydration, sugar. It can be around the holidays, not enough supplementation, vitamin D. There's a lot of factors that go into it. So feel free to bring that up to whoever you're seeing, or come see one of us. We're happy to talk about it.
I know, right? Yeah. Well, and that leads us to expectations as well. And so expectations are that, again, from how often do you expect that you should be seen for your level of, we'll just call it injury, or for your current state of affairs? How often would you expect for it to get well? And again, that's a conversation with the chiropractor, is that because your expectations may be completely off base in comparison to what you have going on. And those expectations as well, when we, looking at your comment about he hurt your neck twice, again, was something done different? Like what Dr. Erica was saying, it's your chiropractor's job to help you figure out what other factors may have gone into that. And there have been times when, not too many, thankfully, but over my 27 years, and I've had a handful of people come in and they're like, and again, they're the chiropractic jumpers and they go from one to the next. And they're like, I didn't like that. And they like zero, they just complain about every chiropractor that they've been to. And then they show up in my office and I will just say to them, well, I'm here to take the best care I can of you. And I just hope that I don't get added to the list of people you complain about. Because that also, if you're somebody who's been to one after the next, then it is your expectations that are completely off base, and that you have to be willing to open up and take that guidance. Let your chiropractor take the reins and guide you. Because if you just keep complaining, you will never get the care that you need, and you'll never get the progress and the healing that actually you're missing out on yourself, because you're not staying consistent with that one person.
Yeah, it's complicated. So both times he hurt me, you're unable to enter my head for at least 2 weeks. So we usually don't see something like that. But it's definitely something that comes up. And I did tell him, and he stopped messing with my neck at all. So in my office personally, and I know in Dr. Paula's office too, like the neck is one of the most important parts. So we would just choose a different way to work with it. So
I would also send out for x-rays. If you haven't had a recent x-ray, Laura, if that's when I would be like, something might be changing in there. Maybe we need a new x-ray. And, and there's a lot of chiropractors that won't even, when things start to, you get the question mark, a lot of times you've got to send out and get that additional imaging so you don't miss something.
Mm-hmm. No, it's great. We're so glad that you're here, and we're happy to help answer those questions too. So thank you for the dialogue around it. We are, our time goes so quickly. So we will kind of ease on down the road, but join us every Thursday. We are having a pretty good time here. So
and we're on our new channel. Look at this.
We are. Look at us. We have some people here too. That's so great.
Yeah, we got a little bit of got a little dialogue going. So we appreciate you guys showing up each and every week for us. And also, much as we say to our patients in our offices, thank you so much for bringing these questions to us. We thank you for putting that in the chat, because these are things that we want to be able to dispel myths. We want to be able to help guide you so that you don't just get a bad pizza and never eat pizza again.
That's right. We want to be able to eat our pizza and have our cake, eat that too, and do all the things.
Absolutely. Yeah.
No, we really do. And I know that, approaching a healthcare provider sometimes with questions, it can be a little dicey. Like, sometimes people in that situation almost like lose, some people will take notes and bring notes in because they forget the questions once they're here. So just bring them. We're happy to help in any way that we can. We're also available to reach out on many different platforms in many different ways, through our email, through our direct messages on social platforms. We're all here for you. Approachable healthcare is really our goal. So anyway,
it's all in the show notes, all the links. You can sign up for our newsletter and stay connected with us that way as well. So awesome. Good. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. We will see you next Thursday for Chiropractic is Sexy. Have an amazing week. See ya.